first to the leadership battle at Suffolk University, which has been playing out very publicly over the last few weeks. It started when reports first surfaced in the Globe that the school's Board of Trustees was unhappy with relatively new President Margaret McKenna. The report said McKenna was asked to resign, and the board was looking to replace her with former AG Martha Coakley. Then McKenna's critics went even more public, saying she was spending too much without authorization, and she has a, quote, abrasive manner. McKenna fought back, criticizing the board for talking about her to the press, and she had support from faculty, students, and the mayor. Meanwhile, Coakley declared she wanted no part in the fight, and ultimately it was decided the board chair would leave this May and McKenna would step down by the fall of next year. But did gender play a role in this debacle? Joining me are Shirley Leung, who thinks it did, Boston Globe business columnist. We're also joined by C.A. Webb. C.A. is co-founder and partner at the venture capital firm Assemble VC. Great to see you, C.A. So you wrote, Shirley, it's a situation, Suffolk, it's a situation that has many women in this town watching in horror, myself included. Why?
Well, because you have this incredible woman, Margaret McKenna, who has been only there for 7 months. By all accounts, most people like her, and the students, the faculty, alumni, and suddenly the board, seemingly out of the blue, wants to get rid of her, calling her abrasive, her management style.
Is that the word that put you over the edge? Is that what brought the gender thing into this?
Yes, because, you know, there are plenty of men who are abrasive, and they're revered, but women who are abrasive, women who shout, as we learn in the presidential cannot shout, but it's okay for Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders to shout. And so that, to me, it was gender politics at play. And then when they brought in Martha Coakley as the leading candidate, I mean, using another woman to push out the first female president of the Suffolk, it just smelled bad.
And I'll add to you, she was wildly respected and successful at Leslie for a long time. You buying into this?
Totally.
Why?
Five presidents in 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that says it all, like case closed. But let's be honest, I think the troubling thing here is that we've seen this movie before, which is women leaders get brought into institutions that are inherently broken, where everyone assumes they're going to fail. We call it the glass cliff. But then the powers that be want to suggest that it's, you know, the ineptitude of the woman. And I want to make clear this is not about Margaret McKenna's ineptitude. It's about systemic failure within that institution.
This is not aberrational in Boston, though, is it?
It is not.
Look at the smile on your face. What are other examples of this kind of thing, either of you?
I mean, one of the other things is that women, the way they're pushed out, and it's a very public manner.
Yep.
You know, men quietly leave for personal reasons. I mean,
face-saving measures are taken.
Exactly.
You just preempted my next question, because I was going to say they forced out a President James McCarthy a couple of years ago, who was only there for like a year and a half. But you're right; they said it was amicable, mutually agreed upon, all that sort of stuff. But had it not been for the language? I mean, the abrasive line even got to me. Is that what tipped the balance here? Would you be saying what you're saying were it not for that? If there was a guy who had been there 7 months?
Well, here's the thing. Have you ever met Margaret McKenna?
I know her,
you
yeah.
have. She is a tough cookie. Anyone who spends 5 minutes in a room with her takes away. She's sharp, she's smart, and she's tough. So for the board to then say, oh gosh, she's tough, it says everything about the board and I think their confusion over what they're trying to accomplish in that institution.
If she's going to leave, I don't even get this at all. Maybe you do. You followed this pretty closely. Part of the deal is she's leaving in the fall of 2017 when they've theoretically completed the new search. If you were a woman, even though Drew Meyer, the chair of the board, who he, along with Regan from Regan Communications, apparently behind this, would you take this job? Paul Reville, former Secretary of Education, I asked today on the radio, I said, if a woman called you who was offered the job, what would you tell her to do? He said, I'd tell her to look elsewhere. Would you?
Well, Margaret McKenna, you know, struck this deal where, I mean, at the end of the day, she didn't want to work for a divided board. I mean, a group of board members already expressed, you know, publicly they were unhappy with her. So at the end of the day, I think she felt that she could not be an effective leader. So she might as well. She was going to sacrifice herself, but she really wanted board reform, and she wanted Drew Meyer, the board chair, to step down. He's agreed to do that, and so I think the next big thing that needs to happen is they need to remake the board, and she wants to stay long enough to make that happen. And if they can remake the board and bring in the right chair, I think it can be a viable, you know, position.
And possibly she agrees to withdraw her decision to leave in fall of 2017 and stays? Before we leave this, you both said the same thing. You didn't give me one example. You both shook your head, yes, this is not aberrational in Boston. Where else does that happen, Shirley?
I mean, I was trying to think. I'm blanking now, but we recently had, I think the UMass president Dartmouth. She was pushed out rather publicly. I'm having a senior moment.
Marissa Myers, our national example, right? That we just see, flogged day in, day out. The poor woman. I mean, I disagree with aspects of what she did, but I think she was set up.
I mean, other examples. I mean, I think of from 2 years ago, the Secret Service, the first female director of the Secret Service, she was publicly grilled and forced to resign.
See, I would argue, even though she's not going, you're missing one of the great examples, Mary Barra, who was elevated when General Motors had essentially ignored this ignition problem and killed lots of people. She's the face that has to go before Congress and take all the crap. In any case, we got to move on. This is going to be lightning round. This is about mothers and mothers-to-be, and I think you both fall in either or both of those categories. The Globe ran a story over the weekend about hospitals moving away from using maternity wards or nursing ward as part of an effort to encourage more bonding and breastfeeding. They call it rooming in. The kid's with you 24/7. The experts they quote say this is terrific. Is it terrific?
It is not terrific.
Why is it not terrific?
It is offensive. It completely forgets the fact that women go through a major medical event when they give birth to a child, and there is recovery required. And so to suggest that she should, from minute one, be completely attentive to someone else's care before she takes care of herself is like saying, don't put on that oxygen mask, kill yourself, but save the kid.
You, which side, rooming in or the nursing ward?
I mean, if some women want to room in, that's fine. But I think women should have a choice on whether they want to room in or put their baby in the nursery. I've had 2 kids in the last 5 years. I tell everybody who's about to have a baby, use the nursery. I mean, because mothers need the rest. I mean, you've gone through a traumatic event. You've given labor.
Even if all the experts are saying this is right, virtually every woman I've spoken to about this is exactly where you are. Give us a choice. Maybe we'll do it, maybe not. But it appears that hospitals almost across the board are moving in this direction. See, my analysis, which was not in the Globe story, so maybe I'm wrong, it's all about money. Is it about money?
I think part of it is. I mean, they get to fewer nurses. They get to reuse that room for something else. I think it is about money at the end of the day.
I think the reality is, and I'm 6 weeks away from giving birth to my second child. When a woman is pregnant, she is revered. And the moment that pregnancy is over, it's all about the child. The woman is forgotten.
Yeah.
I mean,
so can you be condescended to one more time before you go? Let's do it one more time. CDC set off this controversy last week. They declared sexually active women who are not on birth control should not be drinking any alcohol. In 2 cases, either they are intending to get pregnant or, more incredibly, they have no intention to get pregnant, but they might. Look at the look on CA's face. You love this one, right?
Irks me. Irks me. Well, I mean, so first of all, it says that women are primarily baby machines. Right? That's the reason for being. So let's take, a step back, I don't know how many decades. But secondly, it suggests that men have no role in the public health dilemma, which is fetal alcohol syndrome. I find it completely offensive.
So, but the I don't know what they're called, but whatever the trade group of OBGYNs, they actually bought into this thing. They embrace this thing. I mean, if it's so offensive, why'd they do this? You don't like it either, obviously.
I don't like it. I mean, I'm not sure of the research. I mean, you read all the various studies. I mean, people abroad, like people in France, and I mean, they drink all the time, and there's no problem. I mean, so I think it should be. I'm not sold on the research. I think women need to be careful. I don't like this idea that we can't stop drinking for our hypothetical babies. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all.
We should be clear, CDC is not ordering anything, nor do they have the power. They are urging women not to do this. Again, even if they're not intending to get pregnant, that's the incredible part.
I think it creates a fear-mongering culture for young women, which I've already seen become so extreme. I mean, this idea that at 35 your ovaries are going to wither and die, and then all your choices have gone away, it puts so much pressure on young women, and I think this is just more of that.
I promise when you come back, we'll have something you're both happy about. Is that a deal? Okay. Shirley Leong, it's great to see you. See you in the Globe.
Thank you,
It's great to see you, too.